Good morning, traders. Welcome back to another live stream here. If you're new, my name's Zach. This is Real Deal Futures. Happy Tuesday. Wednesday. Happy Tuesday, April 29th. Before we jump into it, make sure you read what's on the screen. Trading's risky. Most traders do lose money. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. I'm just an idiot here yapping on YouTube about trading. Do your own research, make your own trading decisions. Nothing you see or hear from me here or anywhere else is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything at all. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content like Top 1 Futures, as well as Bookmap and others. Now, let's go ahead and jump on to the charts. We have 350K straight to funded, instant funded accounts with, let me adjust my mic, Top 1 Futures loaded up here. We are looking at the Project X platform. We are going to be taking a look at the daily right off the rip. What's going on, chat? What's going on? What's going on? Screen looks good. Chat looks good. What's happening? Let's get into it, man. Won't go too crazy on the top-down analysis since we kind of spent some time on it yesterday. But just taking a look as we open up in the morning, and this is kind of just how I like to do it myself. You know, I do it early morning, mark my chart up, and then I like to do it again here with you guys. Looking at the daily chart, just kind of get a feel for how these entire trading sessions are looking from an individual price action perspective, entire daily candles. Yesterday, super indecisive, right? We sold off and then we recovered all the way back into the afternoon. Obviously, I was getting long, took some losses yesterday, and had a frustrating fat finger that I talked about in Discord on social media. But talking about price action and structure coming into today, indecisive candle up near these highs, sweeping above prior day high, not below the low. And now we've got kind of this little indecision candle really forming right here, right now. It looks like we were selling off right into this open. We've since retraced a little bit, and we're at an interesting spot. We have a 10 a.m. red folder news. We got past some, low impact, medium impact stuff this morning. We got a 10 a.m. red folder, which could be dicey to trade through. It's 9:34 a.m. Eastern, where I'm at right now. So we got to watch that coming up in 25 minutes. We'll see what sets up ahead of that, but that's one that I would be a little bit cautious trading through. If we had a really prime setup, something was looking beautiful, I would look at it and just hold through it. Those were going to play out in my favor and then against me enough times to just make it make sense. But right now, we are kind of just inside, a little bit indecisive, nothing crazy. No big movement through the overnight session. As I drop down onto the 15-minute, you'll see that even clearer. Just really zoomed out. You can see the last couple days, continuing to hold this bullish structure, right? Coming down off of these lows here. We did retrace quite a bit, put this low in after sweeping below the lows down here, maybe retesting the highs of this area, and continued this bullish move. We've really held on to that. Sellers really haven't wanted to give this thing up, which was, again, why I was getting long yesterday. I just didn't trust the move to the downside. Although I was wrong for my trading session, we were headed down to the 5,500 and not the 5,600, not the 5,620s, 30s like I was targeting. But right here, right now, where do we go? Choppy consolidating, up here around these highs. Kind of the same structure that we've seen so far from yesterday. Do we need to retest the 5,500s again? There's liquidity down here on Bookmap, which I'll show you guys. Or are we ready to blast off? Like, to me, higher time frame view, and I'm going to try not to carry this bias too strong. I liked my trades from yesterday, despite being losses. Not the third one, but this looks like we're ready to blast off, right? We've got really, really bullish structure. We're hammering into highs. We're not breaking below lows. Just objectively looking at the price action and market structure on this looks like we want to go. Now, I'm not just going to keep hammering the buy button. I want to wait for structure to form. But like right here, right now, if we pull back down, put this low in for overnight, got close to prior day value area low, this area of volume down here, not quite all the way down to the 5,500s, and we continue this push up through VWAP, I'm looking long on this, right? I think we could just as easily, again, come back down to the 5,500s. Maybe we do need to sell off, right? Maybe we do need to break these lows and really aggressively say, hey, you know what? We're coming way, way back down to, last week's area of high volume down here, the 5,400s. We're going to sweep everybody one more time. before a huge move to the upside. You know, that could be in store. But right here, right now, it looks bullish. Low time frames, it's choppy. Low time frames, this is choppy. We do not have a really clean day over day trend. And you can see that on the daily, right? These little indecision candles. Right now, we're inside prior days, prior day's bar, right? Here's our prior day high. Here's our prior day low. I got those levels marked out. Really dead set in the middle of that, opening up below VWAP. Just talking about the overnight session. We pushed overnight, not a massive amount, but we did push back up towards the highs, continuing this move from the afternoon. Really just forming a choppy back and forth session, like erasing this sell-off to the downside, coming almost all the way back up to the highs. Overnight, stayed around VWAP through London. Pre-market, we sold off pretty aggressively into this 8:45, 9 a.m. time frame, and now we've bottomed a little bit, and maybe we want to head back towards VWAP. So no immediate trade, not going to jump into anything crazy. I'm going to show you guys this. This is forexfactory.com. Financial news site. Here's what I'm looking at. Jolt's job openings at 10 a.m. It's a red folder news event. It's not a NFP. It's not an FOMC rate, Jerome Powell speaking, but it is a pretty gnarly one. It is a red folder, high impact news event. So, for those reasons, want to be cautious there. I would prefer not to hold a trade into a red folder news event like that, but it's not a massive one where I say absolutely not, like hard rule against doing it. These ones I could see it, but it would have to be something really, really prime, and I don't know that we're going to get that here in the next 20 minutes. I would anticipate, not having that, but we'll see, and we'll get to watch it play out together. We'll kind of watch what happens afterwards. And again, unless we really start pushing highs, I could see running a breakout to the upside type trade. Wide stop loss, let it rip, and I think eventually we're gonna push these highs and catch something. Conversely, down to the 5500s again, maybe we got to go and check that out. Could see it. Let's take a look at. This bad boy. Get some messages. All right. Let's see. Let's take a look at what Bookmap's looking like, guys. Let's take a look at Bookmap. This is my favorite order flow tool. This is Bookmap. Fair warning, I'm partnered, affiliated with Bookmap. I stand to make money. Can't be unbiased, but was using Bookmap before I was partnered and affiliated with them, and I'd be using them even if I wasn't. Very, very simple way to read the depth of market, to read some order flow. The way that I use this, I've talked about it a handful of times. I look for large orders on the book above and below price like this. I want to see big stacks of orders, and it's going to give me another area of interest. As we start to zoom in, you can run this really, really zoomed in and see, other smaller stacks of orders that are closer to price. There we go, coming up to maybe grab these 55.45s. But areas of interest on the chart. So right here, right now, we don't have a ton. We've had this on here since yesterday. This 56.50 way up above price. 5,600, we do have quite a few orders on the book right there to the downside. 5,500s, even though we did come back down there yesterday, hang out below that only by about 7 points. That was a beautiful reversal point. I'm sure a lot of people caught that just paying attention to a big round number. So, nothing major. Like, it's not like we have lit up like a Christmas tree above price, from every 10 points to the upside for the next 100 points. Sometimes it does look like that, and it gives me real strong indication, but we are looking pretty thick to the upside. I like this for a really aggressive long off the open. That 10 a.m. news is just going to keep me out of pulling anything like that. But if we do start to break to the upside, 5,600, obvious level to go and check out. Past that, this area has a lot of volume on it, just from price action and market structure. Not much by way of liquidity up until the 56.50s. So That's a little bit interesting to see. To the downside, I think 5,500. Really, really obvious spot, 40 points below current price. I think that's where we could come down and return to again today. We start breaking below that, it could definitely get interesting. We start breaking below these lows here, we could definitely be in for some interesting price action at the downside. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. And right now, gun to my head, I'm long. This would be, I'm not taking a trade right now, guys, but I like to say, if I had to do something, that's my play. If I had to do something, that's my play. It was, similar to yesterday, right? I took it, quite early yesterday on the pullback, looking for a breakout, and we just came back down, swept below that first 15-minute bar. And then I took it again. That one didn't play nice with me. You can see the structure of the downside there. But this is looking long. This is looking strong, Tested this area that we've hung out at multiple times before impulsive moves to the upside. Do we need to come back down to this area? Do we need to come and check out the 5,500s? Maybe. I think that would be like really, really wide. I don't think I would be able to run something like that. Now we're talking, a really, really, really large stop loss, wide risk, and I would need a very, very large move to the upside just to make it worth it. My risk, I think at best on something like this, looking long from down here, would be right below this. On another day where we don't have red folder news, if we come back up through VWAP, this form's pretty strong and we start to continue through this area of high volume, I'd be getting long. Not here, right? We got to wait for, wait for the market to open up. Today, 15 minutes to red folder news. Don't know that I want to take that one. Might have to just stay patient off this open and let the market start to open up, get past that 10 a.m. news, and then look for an entry. Now, the risk doing that, the benefit of doing that is you don't take the initial stop out, right? If it just rips in the opposite direction. The risk doing that is maybe it blasts off. Maybe that news comes in very, very positive. The market interprets it as positive, and we really start cooking to the upside. I think we go and check out the 5,600 very quickly, right? Conversely, if we sell off really aggressively, I think we sell off pretty aggressively, right? We move pretty quickly. So it can be difficult to trade after news as well. So there's always a double-edged sword. There's a give and take with any, move you're going to make in the market, at least the way that I think about it. So we're hanging out, watching this market start to open up, pushing back towards VWAP, forming some strength here. Nothing crazy happening on the book, but above price all the way through to the 5,600s. I could see this playing. I'm really tempted on a long here. I'm going to watch how this closes. And then what starts to form after. I might go for it, guys, and just run it low risk like we did yesterday off the open, around $500 worth of risk rather than maybe a full 1,000 for me on these accounts. That's kind of where I want to stay on risk per trade. Give myself at least a couple trades because I could see this thing starting to take off towards these highs. Conversely, this is an area that we might have to come and check out again, and I would be taking a very, very similar stop that I took yesterday. But this looks strong. This looks like a move back to VWAP. Do we just break it, retest, and continue the downside? I don't think so. Why? Market structure and price action is indicating a bullish move. I'm not looking for this to break out to the downside for all of those reasons. So I'm gonna watch what happens here. It's not a great move. It sucks that we got this 10 a.m. news. I just really would prefer not to trade through it if I don't have to. But we got to make our decisions and kind of stick with them. It so often just gets, it doesn't always happen, but it so often just gets so volatile, right? We have 14 minutes where we can easily be moving up to the upside for the day. Like that's going to be the movement, but not before an immediate wick to the downside where we like hardly even see a candle print and then immediate wick back up. And that can just be tough to deal with, doesn't always happen. Oftentimes we take off in one direction, but it's a tough call either way to make. So probably going to stay patient on this one. I don't love doing it. I really don't love trading through red folder news. It's so violent and so volatile, and it's a frustrating a frustrating move when that happens. Again, the risk, just to repeat myself one more time, is that you miss the move, right? It takes off in your direction. You're not in if you're not in. and you're able to capture a really nice aggressive movement. This isn't insanely beautiful, right? Maybe like a stupidly aggressive sweep down below these lows if this formed a little bit different, and then a really strong push back up through VWAP, which might have been a little bit lower in this hypothetical. I'd be like, you know what, man? If we come back down through these lows again, we're breaking that to the downside. But this does look good. Red folder news and coming up really soon. I'm probably just gonna sit out on that one. But I'd be looking long on this, gun to my head. I'd be long with the stop loss down into like the 55.15, something like that. But I appreciate you guys hopping on. Good morning, man. Smash like, smash subscribe. I appreciate you being on here. Welcome to the show. We'll see what my read looks like today. We'll see. What's going on, guys? What's going on? I don't know why this thing won't let me scroll. That's weird. Ruben, I can see at the top. Raja, Keith. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but it starts with an F. What's up? Ryan, Gringlo, El Diablo. You guys and your ridiculous names. Good morning, good morning. Wish you all the success in that home for that bread. Use code RDF. Last night, get the nice 55% off plus anytime free payout. I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Joe's Red Folder News. Ryan says, positive news, sell, vice versa. Most important, more important than consumer confidence after 11 may continue in that direction. I hear that. Typical, but not 100% based on data. Absolutely. Good morning. Good morning. The way you explain your vision, it's amazing. I appreciate that, man. We have prior day, point of control at 55.50 though, and London session, point of control too. Yeah, I've got prior day. I got prior day point of control right there, right at 55. Where is mine? Yeah, right about 55.50. These will vary a little bit based on the time frame. I'm not like, I use it as a zone, as an area, but we're sitting right here, right? So, this is kind of this balanced area. You can see we are pushing off this candle, continuing to the upside. Again, I like this long, man, but I hate to run it into red folder news. I really do. On another day, I'll tell you, on another day, like yesterday, very, very similar setup where we don't have red folder news. This is my trade. That's the play. On another day where we're not coming into red folder news, I'm long based on higher time frame price action, market structure, volume, continuing to the upside, order flow all the way up through the 5600s, all the way to 5650, all the way up here. If it has to come back down to the 5500s, I'm wrong. I'm out for a stop loss. But on another day with no red folder news, that's my play. Long on this, stop just below these lows. We got to sweep it or pull any BS to the downside. I'm out and would probably run this one half risk just because it is a little bit early on the session. Like yesterday, took the quick stop. I just am cautious. My data is just not as strong for those initial moves. But I don't like to completely keep myself out of the market just because we are early into NYSE session. But we're starting to get some movement right there. It's 9:50. That's not news yet. We're getting very, very wiggly right there. We'll see what that starts to look like. Again, guys, I'm not long. You'll know that I'm long because I'm right on my trading platform here. That's what I would have been eyeballing if we didn't have news in 9 minutes. Red folder news in 9 minutes. If you guys are just hopping on, we got Jolt's job opening 10 a.m. It is a red folder news event. We want to be cautious of that. It's not as crazy, like I was talking about earlier, not as crazy as like an FOMC or an NFP Friday or anything crazy like that, but it is something to exercise caution with. I'd prefer not to hold a trade through that if I don't have to. Yes, the market's either going to move up or down. I'm either going to be right or wrong, but I can't anticipate the volatility. And that added rapid change in volatility, in my opinion, accounts for additional losses, even if the move is going to be in your direction. And I don't love that. I don't really love that. The market can change volatility very quickly, unexpectedly, in a number of different ways. I fully recognize that. But if I have a time when I know it's likely to change, we're likely to see a rapid increase or movement, I would prefer not to have that added risk factor. That's the way that I think about news. I don't try to interpret which way it's going to go, to guess which way it's going to go. I don't use the information the way Ryan does in the chat, where he's talking about if it comes in one way, I'm going to have a bias in one direction or the other. I don't think, personally, for me, I've never been able to make that work. I think a lot of other traders do. They work with that. They understand it. It was always a losing game for me. I could never wrap my head around why the market did what it did. It's an interpretation game of people, right? How the market's going to perceive the news, whether the news is supposed to be good or bad, and very irrational as far as I was aware with the news event. So I like to keep it really technical, really stupidly simple, pattern recognition. And I just like to be aware of those news events and say, hey, you know what? I got to make a conscious decision to hold through this. If I'm I got to be really ready to take an immediate stop or take profit and potentially be slipped, because spreads widen out, right? Like, let's say that news comes in wildly above or below forecast, right? Like really far out. We could see a rapid movement. And that's where a lot of guys get all pissed off and complain. The program glitched, the candles froze, and I got slipped 10 points. Not super common to get slipped 10 points on ES, let's be honest here. But you can take an outsized loss. You can take an outsized win and get positive slippage, but that is an added risk factor. Right? It is an added risk factor. So. Yeah, looking at this 55.45, we got some to the downside, but this looks beautiful to the upside. We got more stacking up at the 85s. Yeah, I think I'm going to watch this play out in my favor, and it's going to be one of those ones that works, but we're going to see. Coming up on 5 minutes to red folder news, so we're going to hang tight on this. But again, appreciate you guys being on. Good morning, Ralph. Paris, done for the day. Nice, very nice. I like trading futures. Awesome, man. Very nice. Do you use time and sales? I don't use time and sales. It's another thing many guys use, just not my forte. Don't use time and sales. So many new people. Yeah, we got a bunch of people on here, man. Welcome. Like I talk about, growing every day. Excited. Hello, I do read the live chat. What's up? I'm fond of ignoring, dumb questions or random just troll stuff. I'll just block right away. So you'll see some of those pop on and off. But I keep subscriber mode on for that reason. This way, you at least have to be here for one session and come back before you troll me. I'll be watching 55.37. Point of control for this session. Would love a pullback towards that level and see buyers coming in. Awesome. So we got somebody watching point of control for the session that's forming right here, right now. We have 55.37. Yeah, I feel you. Point of control down here, that would be just a little bit below some of these wicks that were kind of coming in, or actually right within these wicks that were coming in. Yeah, I could see that, a pullback down to this level. Looking for buyers to step in around that. I could absolutely see that. My play here, guys, we have less than 5 minutes to red folder news. And I know I repeat that stuff a lot, but I try to hammer it home because people hop on and off nonstop. I see someone, yo, Zach, when you turn to the right, we can barely hear you. Mic is very low. I got you, man. There we go. I'll yell into this one so you guys can hear me. I'm going to wait for red folder news. I'm going to wait for it to get past that. 10 a.m. red folder news. Coming up. About 4 minutes. I'm going to wait on that one. Much better. Here, ready? I'll lean over for you, Auburn. No. Yeah, appreciate you guys. What suggestion do you give my friend who blew over 300 accounts without a single payout? That's a lot of accounts, but not something that, is out of the ordinary these days. Give me a second. I'm going to come back to that because that's a good question. So you're Instagram, subscribe, give you not awesome. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, Ruben. So Ruben says leave trading and focus on normal work. Yeah, so here's where I'd go with it. I'd say you probably jumped in really aggressively early, right? If you're running through accounts, like that many accounts, as most people do, right? It's kind of part of the journey. You're going to pay your tuition one way or the other. You're going to lose money like I did in live accounts for a long period of time. That was my intro, right? First in crypto, then in stocks, then in forex, right? For a long period of time in live accounts, and then blowing prop firm accounts, right? Before you start to grab onto some consistency. It makes sense to do a number of things. If you're deep in the weeds and you're just hammering it and you're not showing any signs of consistency, I would personally, and what I've done a number of times in my journey, take risk off the table, come back to demo, right? Get back to no risk on the line first. Then, once you show consistency in demo, this is the obvious stuff, you start to put risk back on, right? The smallest amount that you possibly can. Maybe you're trading eval accounts, one at a time, very slowly. Because if you have consistency in demo, you know you can trade. Now you have to face the psychological demons that come with actually managing risk and trading, for real with risk on the line. And you watch what changes there, right? And you probably lose those accounts or lose that money, but you keep it as slow and low as you possibly can. There's a good example that I talk about a lot. It's the Tom Hogarth tightrope example. If trading's a lot like walking on a tightrope, right? We can learn to walk on a tightrope when the tightrope's on the ground and the risk is extremely low. It's between two trees, and if you step off, you're only 2 inches, above the ground, right? And if you wanted to learn to walk on a tightrope between two buildings, you wouldn't put it between two buildings and fall off and kill yourself, right? You would probably walk on the tightrope while it's 1 or 2 inches between two trees for a long period of time, back and forth. And that's kind of like trading on demo. And then you say, well, I got to raise it up a little bit now. I have to learn to deal with that psychological fear that comes in when there's risk on the line. But you'd raise it up slowly, right? You'd raise it up like 3 or 4 feet off the ground, right? And then 10 feet off the ground. And technically nothing changes, right? Maybe if the tightrope's the same distance and everything, but something changes. All of a sudden your knees get weak, your palms get sweaty, you start looking down, you get fearful, you're breathing heavy. It's the same thing in trading, right? But before you can trade with risk on the line, you got to learn how to do it when the tightrope's on the ground really, really well. And then it makes sense not to jump right in between that tightrope being on the ground all the way to between two buildings. Because if you did that, you'd probably fall right off, right? But if you do it really slowly, that exposure therapy, very, very calm and slow, you identify problems while risk is low. You prevent yourself from taking yourself out of the game, right? From falling off the tightrope in between two buildings. And so that is probably where I would go with it. Speaking from personal experience, that's what I've done a number of times, right? It just doesn't make logical sense to keep hammering the gas pedal when the wheels are falling off the car, right? Pull the car over, start to repair the car, change the flat, and then go from there. I see a bunch of stuff coming in the chat. Hang tight, guys. We got 30 seconds to Red Folder News. Red Folder News coming up. We got Jolt's job openings right here, right now. I'm going to watch this play out with you guys. I got Bookmap over on the side. Liquidity is off the book as far as the algos, the liquidity providers go. But I want to watch this play out real quick, and then we'll get back to some conversation. So chopping right at VWAP, dead set at yesterday's point of control. In between the candle, yesterday's candle, really no direction out of this outside of a pullback and then a continuation up towards VWAP. But I wouldn't be super excited if I was in a trade right here, right around break even, with a stop right here. So let's see. Opening up with a wick to the downside. Immediate retest of that level that we were looking at, right? That gentleman calling out the 55.37s. Not blasting in one direction. Somewhat indecisive, sitting right at VWAP. Dead set at the volume weighted average price for today. So this is just kind of choppy. But let's see what we get out of this one. Do we go clean out like the 5500s? Do we rip to the upside and try to run towards the 5600s? That's kind of what I'm looking at. Right in the middle of this area of consolidation, I don't love this, right? I took it long yesterday, trying to play for this breakout. We didn't do that. And now we spent another day not continuing to the downside, not continuing to the upside, and we're dead set, back in the middle of all this, sitting at VWAP. It's just not as directional. I could see trading this from the extremes to a degree, but it's just really not my favorite thing to do. I would be looking more of for a pullback before a larger move, that type of deal. But not a whole lot out of this. Immediate wick to the downside on this candle. Cracked back up. We did print up to the 55s, but so far sitting right at VWAP here again. So nothing from me so far. I think this is not really giving me a good way to structure risk and trade in a direction. It's not a setup for me, so I'm gonna sit tight with you guys. If we start moving aggressively to the upside, I could see this long, and I would want to play this as a wider stop, right? I'm trading out the 15-minute these days, which is wide. It's uncommon for what you see, I think, on a lot of guys on YouTube trading, you know, the 1-minute chart, which is really my preference here on ES, but it's been so volatile, like I've been talking about. We've had so much movement that I've done well with these longer hold trades, just hanging on to it, leaving the stop where it is, taking the full stop, taking a larger win. That's what my data shows, and the simple, dumb way guy that I continue to adjust and adapt is whatever's working, I do more of. Whatever is not working, I do a little bit less of. Not every single day. Try not to over-optimize. You got to apply some consistency, grab a large sample size. But if my data is showing me that, hey, your percentage of winning trades and a lot of your profit is coming from these higher time frame, longer hold time, wider stop, wider take profit trades, and a lot of your losses are coming from these really zoomed in, tight stop loss, tight take profit trades, maybe I want to adjust a little bit. I don't know. Sue me. But here we go. Pushing the upside. Again, this doesn't look terrible long, man. Does not look terrible long. Watch how this starts to form. I'm tempted to take it long out of this consolidation here. We could really aggressively reverse down on this, but this looks decent for a long. Yeah, I'm looking at this long, guys. Again, it's not super directional, sitting right at prior days point of control and VWAP, but we're holding through VWAP right now. We did have a chance to take it lower. I don't want to miss the movement here because I could see this being a move to the upside. But you know what I really don't love is I'm in the middle of this area of consolidation. This turns into a choppy day. I don't really get my profit target until we break out to the upside here. Oh yeah, we're building to the upside. I'm getting long on this, guys. I'm long. Lot of liquidity building to the upside. I think we're either going to break and continue towards the 5600s, or we're going to aggressively turn from here. I'm long 3 from 55, 53 and a half. Trading this on the 15-minute chart, wide stop loss, down below session lows here. If we have to even pull back down to sweep this low, I'm going to be out. It's not something that I'm going to run way down here, like way outside of the 5500 level. Although that's a play, right? If if I want to see it continue, 100 points in my direction up to the 5650s, it's something I could do. But I'm going to play this one tighter below session lows. It's actually not session lows. That's overnight lows. So here's our session low right here, up at the 55.28. Yeah, let me measure this out just a little bit, just to take an idea of kind of how I want to play this to the upside. Another thing I like about the 15-minute chart is I can really wait for my entry, jump in, like I just did here, and kind of use my stop loss like a chess piece and have time to measure some things out. But I'm going to go into detail, kind of explaining this trade, right? Trying to do that more and more. Here's what I'm looking at, guys. We got liquidity on the book. There we go, pushing the upside right now. We got liquidity on the book coming all the way up to the 5600s. And then a big stack way up there at the 5650s. I think that would be a wild movement. Probably not something I would hold on to. But up to the 5600s, excuse me, we got a lot. And we had a lot building on the book right when I jumped into that. You can see how we blasted right through it so far. Now here comes decision time, right? Are we just going to go and fill what we did right here? Is that all we're going to do? Or are we actually going to continue, right? Something I don't like about this trade is having to hold for a break, right? A break outside of this consolidation, right? You can see how long we've stayed inside and kind of just chopped around. But I see this as a bullish movement through the open, through after this news, and on the higher time frames. And it's why I traded long to my peril twice yesterday. Sucked to fat finger ES from my phone after hopping off the live with you guys. But part of the game, another lesson that I had to learn myself. You know, I've talked about not really talking about stuff that goes on outside of the live, but and I certainly don't have to yap about just destroying some good accounts. But if it happens, I like to be transparent, you know, and just I think that happens to other guys. So hearing that it can happen to someone even in my position that might think they know what they're talking about can be helpful. Got to be cautious. Got to take that stuff seriously. But anyway, I'm digressing here. I like this long. I like this long to the upside. I want to see us break out and continue. We come all the way back down and sweep this low. I don't want to be in. This is a clean invalidation point to me. Can we do that? Sure. Market loves to do ridiculous stuff, right? We could certainly do this. Do I think that's likely? Absolutely not. Do I think this is likely? Sure, right? I think a retest of VWAP after breaking it is likely. I'm not going to go stop loss to break even. I think a test of any of these areas, especially right around the 5550s, right? Big round psychological number that we hung out multiple times, totally in store. So my stop loss isn't going to go there. It's going to go down here, an area where I don't want to be long anymore, right? Similar to yesterday, right? So that's my play. I want to see this break to the upside. Do we get it today, or do we just chop? I don't know. I cannot be the person to tell you that, but I'll put my trade on as I see fit. Really quickly, not taking any drawdown and showing me 17 points of profit. Can't complain about that. I like my entry. I think you guys saw the way I jumped in quickly because we had a lot of liquidity that started to come on the book. We were eating up everything as we started to push past this candle, and you know that helps me. So order flow helping a little bit. We'll see if we want to come up and fill some of these orders up here. If I zoom out really aggressively, where this zone is coming from, where we don't have a lot of orders, would be this area right here, this area of consolidation, these lows that were tested multiple times before we broke to the upside and then gap to the downside. I definitely won't hold way up here. This is something that I could definitely potentially grab right up at the 5600s because I think we would struggle to move through this area of low liquidity, just looking at order flow and Bookmap. But this wouldn't be a bad target either. This would not be a bad target, you know, up towards the 625s maybe. But first, we need a breakout of this level here. We need a continuation of the upside, and it could be dicey. We might not get that. But so far, nothing from me tells me short, unless you're a range trader and you're just going to be trading off the extremes. So, questions, concerns, you know, feel free. You know, you could ask. If none of that made sense to you, I'm happy to continue to talk about it. Remember, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. I'm just an idiot on YouTube. No suggestions or recommendations to do anything. This is for entertainment purposes only. Certainly not signals or anything like that. I think you would have to be a really unintelligent person to do that. You know, I mean that harshly but genuinely. You know, don't do that with me or anybody else, right? That would make no sense. So, let's read through some questions here, man. Yeah. So we were talking about that, Sonny. I hope I answered your question, man. You know, the bottom line is this is a different journey for everybody, right? And you know, at a certain point, I don't know about that music. At a certain point, you're going to have to pay the tuition, right? You're going to have to lose money. I don't know any traders, and I wish I did. I don't know any traders that came to this game and immediately started making money without losing money first. I know it's a part of it. That said, you can limit that. You get to decide what that tuition is. And you can do what I did and come in way too confident and get punished in live accounts for a long period of time. Or you can start on demo. You can keep yourself on demo for a long period of time. And then you can slowly increase risk, very, very slowly, and not put real money on the line until it makes sense to. You know, not really start to risk, capital until it makes sense to. And a good question that somebody asked me that, like, I was pissed off when they asked me, but it was a great question. would you trust you to manage your money? Given your tendencies, your current, results, would you trust you to trade that account, to manage that money? And if the answer is no, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have confidence in that person, then you probably shouldn't allow yourself to trade that account, to trade that money, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I do think there's a very huge limitation on demo, which is the psychology of actually managing risk and executing in live market conditions, with or simulated market conditions with, risk on the line. And you have to make that jump at a certain point. But before you do, you should have some signs for, a number of months of some consistency. That's the thought process. Yeah. Go back to the basics. Yep. Yeah, man. And again, just these are my humble, biased opinions, right? Yeah, read Mark Douglas, read Trading the Zone, read Best Loser Wins by Tom Hogard, Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tendler. I yap about those all the time. If you read all those, read, hit me up in Discord. I'll give you a book list for more of them. And I'm not a reader, but that stuff, I don't think you'll be a worse trader after reading them. You can call me Manuel. I got you. No problem. Yeah, I don't think so. Ryan says, rocket ship. Sir, how many years did it take to reach this level of proficiency? Yeah, no, that's not rude. I don't answer questions like, how much money do you make, or like, how do you do this or that, like just about track record or results, because I do that here with you guys live every day. All my live sessions are up. If you want to, I don't have to prove anything with my trading, because I can just say, hey, go to my YouTube and watch me trade live every day. You can decide if you think that I know what I'm doing or not. But to answer that question, I'm about 6 years into the markets in total. Most guys ask that question because they want to know how long it's going to take them before they get profitable. But I'll answer it and then I'll give you my opinion there. About 2 to 3 years, somewhere within that 2 to 3 year mark, before I stopped losing money. And again, that's not like you're profitable, before I just started to grab onto some consistency and start to make some real progress. And then to the second piece, right? It depends on so many different factors. It depends on you, your personality. It depends on how much work and how much time you're going to dedicate to doing this, right? When I really got serious about attempting to make some progress and gain consistency, and I don't like to use the word profitability or profitable, because everybody kind of looks at this as like you turn a page one day and you wake up and you're profitable. It's all roses and rainbows. And I thought about that for a long time, and like that's how it would go. I would just all of a sudden everything would just click, and now you make money every day, and it doesn't happen that way. So it's actually hard to put your finger on. But when I really got serious about it, I was dedicating all of my time and energy and effort that I possibly could outside of working in my full-time career to trading. I was waking up in the middle of the night. I talk about this on podcasts and just different stuff. I was waking up in the middle of the night to trade London session in Forex. I would do that for a number of hours. Maybe I would go back to sleep, try to catch a nap. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would just backtest, read, study, and then I would work a full day, like 8 to 11 hour day, like a full day at a career. And then I would come back and read, study, backtest, review, watch videos, read through all these psychology books, and then do it all again. Go to bed super early and wake up in the middle of the night. Literally in the middle of the night. I used to wear an Apple Watch so it would stop pissing my wife off, let the alarm go off, and go into another room and trade. So, somebody who's doing that versus somebody who's dedicating an hour or two, they're just kind of like, hop on the charts. That person will make progress too, but one's going to make progress a lot quicker, right? But even then, it takes varying times. And I think like the realistic time frame, if you said, hey man, gun to your head, how long do you think somebody starting from scratch before they're actually consistent or really starting to grab hold of some consistency, starting to break even, great understanding of the market, understanding of risk management, the game of probabilities they're playing, work through a lot of psychology pieces of this game outside of just strategy itself, probably into that third year, probably into that 3 years. Again, don't want to impose my limiting beliefs. Maybe you do it in a month. I just don't see that happen very often. So, that's usually the question, right? Guys, why? And I used to ask it all the time. How long before you got profitable? First off, nobody really ever knows. And so, you know, that what if they're giving you some hard number, that's usually just not correct. But most people want to know for themselves, you know, and I'd say this is a long game, right? And if you think about it logically, you're trying to unlock a really, really high paying career, right? You're trying to be able to extract money from the market consistently. You're playing a zero-sum game with guys that have been doing it for 12 years, 20 years, right? In what world would you be able to get that done in a year, right? In what other high-paying career, or even modestly paying career, are you achieving that in a year or two? Almost none, right? Like none that I can think of, you know? You think about how long it takes to become, in the US, any kind of like successful, you know, high-paying profession, succeed in a high-paying profession. Years, man, you know, 10 years, right? You go to school, you dig yourself a hole for at least 4 years, right? Going to college, then you probably go to school after that, or maybe you don't. And then you start with a terrible entry-level salary, and I'm talking from experience here because this is what I did. And then you work for a number of years, maybe almost 10 years like I did, before you make it to a really high-paying, you know, position. So, you know, trading is similar to that. As unfortunate as that might be to hear, it's similar. You're going to go to college first. You're going to go to school. And the first 4 years, not only are you not going to make money, probably like college, you're going to lose money. You're going to take out a loan to the market. And then maybe you start to break even and you start to pay back that loan and, you know, make a little bit of money and then start to make some progress. So again, man, I think like having that unrealistic expectation that I did and so many people did, it just makes it like so much harder, so much, you know, less enjoyable, and stacks the odds against you even higher. So I didn't mean to rant on this, guys, but it's a good conversation, and it's stuff that I wish somebody told me really early on. It grabbed me by the shirt and said, dude, you're not going to make money right off the bat. Stop putting risk on the line. Stop blowing accounts. You have to at some point, but take your time. Take your time. And if you don't want to take your time, this is not the get-rich-quick scheme that you thought it was. It's just not. You know, everybody, markets, prop firms, other traders, they're going to take your money. They're going to eat your lunch, and, you know, you're just going to get cooked. You know, there's really no get-rich-quick schemes that I'm aware of. If I know them, you know, if you know them, just hit me up on the side. And, you know, I'm happy to make some money, but trading is not one of them. So anyway. All right, back to the chat, man. Again, so watching this play out, man, crack to the upside. Yeah, you know, like sitting around this area of high volume. We didn't continue here. Would have really liked to see this continue. Like I talked about, did I think a retest of this area is totally in store? Absolutely. Are we going to break out today? Are we going to push to the upside? Or am I going to have to realize this L? I don't know. Don't know what's going to happen next. And I don't need to make money, right? That's the Mark Douglas quote right there. But looking at the daily, you know, do we flip this bad boy bearish and really start filling to the downside? If that happens, you know, I'm out at a level that I'm comfortable with, and I think potentially we sell off. We really start to come through this level. But right here, right now, this looks good. This looks solid. Would have liked to see a break above and hold of prior day high before we, you know, reverse back down to this, you know, median point. We didn't get that yet. But so far, we're looking okay. We come aggressively down back towards this low. You know, I'll lose faith in the trade. But as you guys have watched me do and heard me talk about, I'm hanging on to my trades to stop loss or to profit. I don't like stop loss to break even. I don't like closing for partials anymore for a loss. I used to be much more dynamic with my trade management. And especially with this wider, you know, time frame stuff, I find doing that hurts me more than it helps me. So not planning on doing that, but don't love this. Don't love this rejection. I'm okay with a test. If we pushed from here, this would look really good for a breakout. We come back down through these lows. I'm out, and I don't know that I'm taking follow-up trades today. I took it aggressively yesterday. It really did not help me. I would really need to see a larger movement. I need to see us come back down below these lows, come all the way back up to the highs, give me some structure to form in there before I look at this bad boy long again. Short, you know, if you want to trade the range, here it is right here. You know, getting short on the rejection, you know, to come back down, and, you know, maybe we just have to chop. We just have to chop up here. And, you know, I'm going to take L's attempting to trade it directionally. But we will take we'll take our trades, put them on as we see fit, and let the market play out in our favor. That's all we can do in the long run, right, guys? That's the name of the game. Yeah, wow, 55.65. Wow, 55.65. We got 1,000 on the book up there. Oh, did not move that. We got 1,000 on the book, 1,080 at 55.65. Harsh pullback on this right now. Still a decent amount of liquidity all the way up to the 5,600s. Plenty of orders to the upside. I really like this long. Do we have to pull back through the 55.10s, the 5500s? Do we have to sweep this low? Maybe before we make this move. We're going to find out. Waited for red folder news to form. Didn't put risk on before that. Waited for the move to continue. Solid entry on right before a break to the upside to show me about 20 points of profit. Or was that 17, 18 points of profit? Hey, let's call it 16. Again, hanging on to this one for a larger move. But don't know that we get it. We'll have to see. We will have to see. Let's see. Went long right before you, but unlikely. But unlike you, I'm a wimp. Took 10 points for MES. No, Keith, all good, man. It's about how you structure your trades, right? So, you know, if I'm taking on, you know, 36 points on this trade specifically, points of risk, right? And I take profit every single trade at 10, I'm running a really negative risk to reward, and it's going to require a really high win rate to sustain. I'm not opposed to taking profit as I see fit. As you can see today, and almost all of my trades, unless I'm stepping away or I have something really volatile coming into a level, I don't like to run a take profit. I do like to close just based on price action, market structure, volume, order flow, the tools that I use. But I'm cautious of closing like immediately in profit on every trade, right? Because how that often plays out in the long run is you end up with a really high win rate, but you take one or two losses and it wipes all of that really, really, you know, really nice profit. So I'm cautious of that. But if you structure this one, like maybe your risk was here, right? And maybe, you know, you had 16 and a half points of risk, and you went over a 1-to-1 with that. You know, beautiful setup. You know, that would have paid. Let's see from down here. That would have paid early before news on a 1-to-1 as well. To the upside, you know, eyeballing this long, but sellers taking this thing back down. Really need to see it hold around here. Last ditch is down at this level, but reversal not looking good from the 15, not continuing to the upside, not breaking above this overnight high level, coming to test prior day high. Again, still a ton on the book all the way up to this level. Like yesterday, something that I would like to try long again, but I don't know that I'm going to keep pushing it. If the market's just showing us that, you know, we're going to stay inside this choppy level of consolidation for a while. We're going to chop here maybe into the afternoon, end of the week when we get some more news. You know, market's just going to be indecisive up here. We're not really going to move directionally at all. And, you know, I'm going to take stops, looking for this to move directionally. You know, that's kind of the thought process. If I take an L on this fairly low risk trade for me, right? Talk about $1,000 on the high end on these accounts. That's probably the game plan. Let's see, man. Let's see. They heard me talking smack. Yeah, Ryan. Ryan opened his mouth and said like 80% W's or something. And then immediately reversed. Yeah, hey, listen, man, you know, you do your thing. Unfortunately, the market doesn't hear us, but sometimes it can feel like it does. Why do I prefer MES over MNQ? Just a preference. I talk about that a lot. It's a preference. Slower moving. I find that it respects levels pretty well. It tends to not be so wicky and violent and volatile. So I do like that over NQ. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Yeah, MNQ, MES, just different. Just different, man. Just different. Preference, not one better than the other. Went long. Yeah, we talked about that. Longs now. Yeah, this is choppy, man. I'm losing faith in this one. Again, I trust my stop. Not something that I'm going to clip early, but I'm just going to trust my stop on this one. With top 1 futures, I think there's a couple guys that have just hit 3, which is wild to do. That's like a payout a week since they launched. It's insane. But I don't know. I don't know if anybody is going live just yet. Well, I think we're gonna hear a lot about it as soon as that move does happen. They heard me talking smack. Yep, doing a great job. Appreciate you. No, I don't. I used to be, like I talked about, I used to be a lot more discretionary and dynamic with my trade management. I'm not as much of a fan of scaling out and scaling in with this style, this approach. It becomes difficult to track, and it can work really well on some days, really well on the other days. And as a whole, over the large sample size, I find it difficult to move the needle in one direction or the other. For me personally, if you're going to trade that way, I think it does make sense, like starting out as a beginner, to trade fixed stop loss, fixed take profit, right? And then maybe you decide to move stop loss to break even at a certain point and scale out, right? You say like fixed take profits, multiple, and I scale out and move stop loss to break even at a certain point. And that can make sense if you do it in a really consistent way. But for me personally, my results are showing most recently, with this a little bit wider spaced out stop and target, that scaling out's most likely not going to help. It's just going to cut into my profits in the long term. The trades that are going to work are going to work. The trades that aren't going to work, like this one, unfortunately, so far, getting a retest of this low, sweeping below prior bar low. Would really like to see this thing continue. Don't know that we get it. But if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So scaling in and out, aggressively, I think for momentum on low time frames can work pretty nicely. But for me personally, not so much of a fan of it these days. But again, that's preference, right? And I think it's important to say, trust your data. Look at your results. Look at what your data is showing you, right? What happens during your trades after you put the trade on? More often than not, if it comes back to break even, does it move to your stop loss? More often than not, does it continue to move in your direction, right? Are you holding for a large trending move, or are you going for these really small scalps? Does it make sense to scale in, scale out, that type of deal? Really enjoy your live trading plus good music. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. I appreciate all you guys being here, right? And if you're new, because we got so many people hopping on, I always try to talk about this stuff. I don't claim to be the best trader in the world. Far from that. I don't claim to have all the answers. I don't have all the big payouts. I'm not on leaderboards. None of that stuff, man. But I'm happy to show you what trading looks like for me. Wins, losses, lost accounts, run-up accounts and payouts, and everything in between. Happy to show you what that looks like here, free every day, where you can decide whether or not you want to listen to me, right? No ego, no crazy, trying to be somebody that I'm not. Just showing you what trading looks like for me. Good stuff, bad stuff, everything in between. And also that I'm biased on a lot of the stuff that I talk about as far as being partnered and affiliated with prop firms and software companies like Top 1 Futures and Bookmap, both of which that we've seen today. So important to note that as well. But I appreciate everybody being on here, man. It's awesome to grow this. Got more and more people hopping on every single day. It's sick. I'm sure some of it has to do with the giveaways. If you're new also, I've been running giveaways. Nobody freak out. That's a giveaway. We gave away a 50K straight to funded account with Top 1 Futures yesterday. Gave away one last week. Did a cash giveaway. I'll be having giveaways every week coming up. At least something. It's random days, random times. You got to be on the live to catch it. I drop a form, and your job is to fill it out. No purchase necessary. And then I pick a winner randomly on the live. So, and that's cool. If you want to hang out and grab some giveaways, I'm more than happy to just have you here for that, right? I think when I was starting out, some of the stuff that I used to get my hands on was pretty sweet from different firms. Resets and giveaways and that type of stuff was cool. Sorry, guys. Answering a couple messages. Got a whole bunch of work being done on my house is really what's going on. Have to turn my power on and off like 5 times yesterday after the live. It's very frustrating. And we're not going to listen to an ad. But outside of that, I'm going to show you guys what Top 1 has going on right now. 55% off and anytime payouts with code RDF as we're watching this trade play out. I'll probably map this one out with you guys, kind of show you what I'd be looking at into the afternoon, how I might or might not manage it, and go and handle the thing that I'm answering messages on 47 times while I'm on here with you guys. Don't like to do that. Long from 55.40. Nice. Yeah, guys. So Top 1 Futures. If you want to check this out, code RDF. Let me get rid of that. Hang tight. So I wanted to show you this. Oh, they don't even have it updated. Okay. You know what? Let me just show you the flyer then. Ooh, very nice. Okay, let's show this. Code RDF gets you 55% off plus anytime payouts. If you don't know, Top 1 did recently adjust rules. They announced it last week. It went into effect on new accounts, no retroactive stuff, 5 p.m. on Sunday. Read through the frequently asked questions, read through everything, make your own decisions. Remember, I'm biased. I can't be unbiased here. I stand to make money. But if you want to support me, support the channel, support yourself, and you decide that this is a good decision for you on your own because you're a human and you can make your own decisions, 55% off and anytime payouts with code RDF. It puts the 150K account with $6,000 of max loss limit under the $400 mark. I think it's like $358. And you get anytime payouts, meaning no payout window, no waiting 14 days like most guys have, including myself, with their accounts. Really, really solid. They've paid out over $1 million in under a month, which is absolutely wild. Check this stuff out, guys. I'll throw the link in the chat for you. Again, code RDF. If you want to support me, support your boy, support yourself. To get the anytime payout, do we need to add the anytime payout option or leave it off? I think this time around, Ralph, because they did something like this in the past and it was just added automatically afterwards. You didn't have to add it. I think this time it shows added. I think if you plug in code RDF, and you could tell me this on your side, it shows added. But I don't always like to say, oh, it's going to do something without knowing 100%. I'm 99% sure that it shows added. It shows free or something on there. You don't have to do anything crazy with it. But if not, what they were doing last time was you check out, you don't add anything on, don't pay any extra money. Yeah, it's showing added on is free. Nice. Yeah, awesome. This way it's nice and clear. But yeah, man, 55% off, code RDF, anytime payouts. Pretty solid. I think this is a hell of an opportunity. My humble, biased opinion, again, I try to be so transparent about that because I think if everybody was just open and honest about, where they stood to make money, everybody can make their own decision. And it's not like, you're trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I think this is a badass decision, right? Been trading with prop firms in the futures market for only about a year after coming over from Forex, where I was trading prop firms and live accounts for, again, a bigger portion of that time. For better or for worse, lost a lot of money in live accounts before I started to make some. But this is a hell of an opportunity. There's no challenge, no evaluation, no wasted time trying to make money in sim accounts that you never stand to withdraw money from. Along with that, you get $6,000 of working capital. You can copy trade up to 3 accounts, which you see me doing right here. And the rules to me are very clear. You do have to work with a consistency rule, which is not favorable for a lot of guys. Maybe that's not going to work for you. You're a hold your trade to the moon or to hell, and you're a home run hitter. That could be tough. Maybe you want to copy trade 20 accounts. Can't do that here. But along with all of that, very clear path to live, faces behind the brand, coming from a CFD and Forex prop firm, a CEO that addresses everybody very directly and explains why and what they do and aren't going to do. So for all those reasons, I'm super bullish on Top 1 futures, right? If you're aware on how this stuff works, I could have partnered and affiliated with a whole bunch of different firms, which I am partnered affiliated with a lot of different firms, but some other ones that are kind of like dumpster fires that would pay me a whole bunch of money, but that I'm not bullish on, right? I don't want to trade with them myself. You can grain of salt what I say, but you can just kind of watch how I move and make that decision for yourself, right? I talk about that Cortana story a lot because it's just an interesting one, right? Could have signed my soul to the devil a long time ago and just been driving Lambos and nobody getting paid out. But I choose not to do that because I have a conscience, and I like to think that I try to be a good person, whatever that's worth. But anyway, make your own decisions. Do your own research, guys. I'm very bullish on Top 1 futures. I'm here with you guys, spending a lot of time on it myself, working my way, trading these, primarily on the prop firm stuff that I do. Super bullish on it. So 55% off, code RDF, best deal with anytime payouts. Ralph says it's showing. So nice. Jose, what's going on, man? What's going on? What a day. Jose's up 1867 total on his 150K. Need a 50K instant funded too. Yeah, do your thing, Jose. Jose's killing it, man. If you guys are here, Jose's been around since the beginning. I appreciate you. I got some guys that have been around for forever since I started with this stuff. Again, not a ton of time, right? Over a year now, but since I started doing this content creation stuff. But Jose, Mr. New York, with the big energy as always. Awesome, man. Awesome. You're killing it, man. You're on an absolute heater. Great to see it, man. Keep it controlled. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep risk in line. And remember, man, you got a consistency rule on these accounts. Remember, if you're trading the Top 1 futures, you know how that works, right? 20% consistency. Whatever you put up on one day, whatever the biggest day is, that sets the tone for these accounts. So you do have to be cautious, but pre-plan that. Dropping it. Got you. Yeah, man. No, do your thing, right? Because if you put up $2,000, here's the example. If you put up $1,000 on any one day, you got to put up at least $5,000, right? If you put up, let's say, $2,000 on any one single day to meet a 20% consistency rule, where no single day of profit can be larger than 20% of your total profit, you would have to put up $10K, right? Simple math. Whatever number you put up times 5. So you make that decision on the front end. With the rule adjustment, you have to put up $7,500. So anybody know in the chat? We can do math. I can be the math teacher. What's the 20% rule if you wanted to take a payout right when you hit the profit target, right? Right when you hit the minimum balance to take a payout. What would be the max number that you could put up on any one day if you have to put up $7,500 before you take your first payout? Somebody tell me from the chat, and I'll give you an air high five. Oh, man. There we go. Ding, ding, ding. Sunny wins it. $1,500. Yeah, $1,500, right? So if you want to take the $3,500 payout that these new accounts have, which would be the max initial payout, you would not want to put up more than $1,500 in any one day. You certainly can, and if you want to leave more room in your account as a buffer, I think that does make sense. It's going to be different. Everybody's a different trader, different risk tolerances, but you would want to stay under that. So, that's the thought process. Guys, this sucks because now the trade's playing out in my favor, but I'm going to keep it consistent because I got off the charts yesterday with a trade that was moving against me. I got to wrap this one up here. I got a bunch of housework going on, is the honest truth, which I'm grateful for, but I got to go talk to my contractor that's outside. But let's talk about this trade quick before we go. Let's talk about the rest of the week. Here's what I'm looking at. We rocket to the moon. We just keep going nonstop, and I put up a $5,000 day, and I can't take a payout in these accounts until I hit $25,000. No, I'm just kidding. I would like to see this continue. I want to see this break above. This is looking good. I want to see this nice big bullish bar close up here, man. I would really like to see it. That's going to give me a lot of faith in this trade. I want to see a move towards the 5600s on Bookmap. We still have orders up there at 5600. Not a ton, 260, but we got something up there. We got liquidity to get through up here. Obviously, we've been just cracking above these highs and sweeping back down below. So this is a risky play. I'm looking for a little bit of a move. If we start to come outside of this, I'm going to look to manage, right? I'm not going to hold this trade to the moon like I was just joking about. If we start to break out and run, I'm going to try to hang on to it, right? I want to hold my winners, let them run, grab some profit, but I like to manage it based on price action, market structure, volume, order flow. And I'm going to do that discretionary, right? If I had to run a fixed take profit and run away from this chart, that would probably be the high end right there. I would do that. Maybe I close past that. Probably not. Maybe I close, a lot earlier as we find some resistance or something happens down here. To the downside, if we just come back down, I'm likely stopped out. The only times I really look to manage in drawdown or back towards break even these days is if we did something like this, and then we really start to reverse. We form a lot of bearish structure, and I go, this was the move. I missed it. Missed any kind of profit. We have a ton of bearish structure. I don't have faith in this trade. The thesis is absolutely dead. This is no longer the invalidation point. The trade's already invalidated. We're not moving higher. I want to get out here. So it's not as common for that to happen, but it's a possibility, right? Because I like to be, talk to you guys, right? So you can understand kind of my trading style. That's the whole, benefit here. But on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I'll try to keep you updated in Discord, but I'm going to run outside. So, I don't know that I'll be able to do that. Talk to you guys soon. Disclaimer, live tomorrow. No live on Thursday and Friday. I'm with ASFX in Tampa with a whole bunch of other badass traders. I'm excited to be going to an in-person event, to be guest speaking. It's going to be awesome, meeting up with a bunch of traders, sponsors out there. It's going to be really cool. If you missed your shot, you'll get a whole bunch of videos. I posted about it. All the guys go and posted about it, but I'm sure there'll be more of them, but that's going to be really awesome. So live tomorrow. It'll be short and sweet, but I'll be there live tomorrow. Here live with you guys tomorrow. Disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. I don't provide any type of signals or recommendation or suggestion to do anything. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. If you trade, you're probably going to lose all your money. It's a dumb thing to do. Do your own research, make your own trading decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content. Like this bad boy right here, code RDF, 55% off, straight to funded, no evaluation. It's 2025. Why are you taking prop firm accounts, still failing challenges? That's crazy, bro. Code RDF gets you 55% off and anytime payouts. Thank you guys for hopping on. I appreciate you. We'll see if this trade runs towards take profit or we take the L on the chin. We do what we have to do. Talk to you guys soon. Smash like, smash subscribe. I appreciate you. Thank you. I see a bunch of you guys saying what's up in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate all you guys. Hop in the free Discord. Free Discord, 100% free Discord. Talk to you guys there. Keep you updated there.